Hello, my name is Marissa Vance, and I am the Communications Manager for the Resource Center. Some of my job duties include the social media marketing and promotion of the work that the team is doing in our offices here in Iowa and across the nation. I also brand our materials and do the video editing of webinars, network spotlights, and more. My expertise is in brand and marketing, and with that comes being an expert in 508 compliance and accessibility. A fun fact about me is that I love to organize, and my team knows this about me in the way that I make my spreadsheets and I color code. 90% of the PDFs that are floating around on the internet and in our inboxes are largely inaccessible. Making accessible materials is a good job skill to have that hopefully you can add to your resume soon after this training, or at least over the course of your grant period. It is great to be with you here today to share what I have learned on creating accessible documents, and we will work with a few of those basics during this hour, and then I will share with you some resources that can help you after you leave today. Technology is quickly changing both assistive technology and the technology that we use to make our resources accessible for our end users. 2 years ago, I did most everything by myself. But now, with the help of AI technology, such as the one in the May 17th, 2023 article by Forbes about the all-new Adobe Accessibility Auto Tag API, stating that the tool is powered by its artificial intelligence and machine learning framework. This advancement has been shown to save 70 to 80%, but up to 100% of time when it comes to making the process of making a PDF accessible. My experience with this advancement has been positive for the most part. Of course, it does not always fix all of the errors within a document, but it does save hours when it works correctly. Design accessibility in tacos. To give a little bit more information about the title of my presentation, I've heard before that you can have an eye-catching design resource or a resource that is accessible, but not both. Well, to me, that's like saying you can have soft-shell tacos or hard-shell tacos. And like one of my favorite commercials, I say, why not both? So let's get started. Here I have a Nutrition and Aging Resource Center example of the amazing Captain Funds Finder. So today I'm going to show you that you can have both. It's not that hard, and we're going to learn how. This document that's on the right with the X through it, it's a wonderful document. It's actually the exact same document with all the same material as what you see in the document on the left. Of course, one is a little bit more visually appealing, yet both of these are accessible and 508 compliant. The wonderful Erin Longnecker created the document on the right. This for her was her rough draft, and she came to me with the idea of making a comic book. Therefore, we used all of her doodles and drawings, and we came up with the document on the left that is published on our website that you can find today. As you can see, there's lots of different graphics, images, and different text going into the document, yet it reads exactly how it would in the document on the right. So it is possible. Why is accessibility important, though? Let's begin. Accessibility ensures that all users can access a product or service regardless of their capabilities. There are 285 million people who have some sort of visual impairment, 275 million people with moderate to profound hearing impairment, and many more have physical, speech, cognitive, neurological disabilities or a limited understanding of English. Closed captions are for people with hearing impairments. Curb cutouts and ramps are for people or individuals in wheelchairs or that have other physical challenges. Audiobooks and screen readers were meant for those with visual impairments. Most of us encounter accessibility features every day that were originally created for people with a disability. Each of these things were made to make their lives easier, but I can tell you that when I go on a walk with my almost 1-year-old daughter, the curb cutouts make pushing the stroller a lot easier. Can you think of any others? Some that were mentioned during the conference were automatic door openers, elevators, handles in bathroom stalls, and even clips to help unlock an infant from their car seat. Assistive products can range from physical products such as wheelchairs, glasses, prosthetic limbs, white canes, and hearing aids, to digital solutions such as speech recognition, time management software, and captioning. Most people who use assistive technology use more than one product, making integrated services important. Globally, more than 2.5 billion people need one or more assistive products. And with an aging global population and a rise in non-communicable diseases, an estimated 3.5 billion people will need assistive technology by the year 2050. This is one sentence that I think is important for us to reflect on from the World Health Organization. Leaving no one behind means ensuring people with disabilities, the older population, those affected by chronic diseases, and everyone who needs assistive technology are included in society and able to live healthy and dignified lives. This should sound familiar, as the Older Americans Act supports a range of essential home and community-based services to help as many older adults live as independently as possible in their homes and communities. I think that we can see the overlap that assistive technology has with OAA services. So why is this important to you? Things that can create an accessibility problem are images, captions, color, data tables, dynamic content and interactivity, forms, and navigational elements such as links. All of those things that help to create a more visually appealing document. So it's important to know how to be able to add those design elements to our resources and make them accessible. Remember, as I stated in a previous training done in August 2023, it is easier to create content that is accessible in the first place, to bake it in, rather than to remediate it after the content is made final or to bolt it on. Scenario 1. You've been tasked with designing illustrations to aid in a presentation. You created the pie chart and line graph seen here. Your designs are rejected. Do you know why? They were sent to a test group for feedback, and there was a user that was colorblind and could not relate the legend to the charts. This is more of what that individual was seeing. Please note, you cannot convey information with color alone. The way to fix these charts and graphs is to add a pattern or a texture, so that way you can easily tell the difference between which line is for what, as well as what quarter begins and ends where. Capstone and video PowerPoint presentations I wanted to spend some time on, as I see a lot of these in capstone projects. So we all use PowerPoint presentations. We use them in our work, and I see them a lot in the capstone projects, as I just said. My hope is to get you to think about them a little bit differently, including accessibility. So think back to the last presentation you gave. Do you remember the main points that you wanted your users to remember and take away from your presentation? What do you remember from it? Consider the content that you're presenting and the accessibility of it. Would you like to have had a recording that you could refer back to? Whether it's your presentation that you gave months ago, or even some of the presentations that we heard earlier in this conference. When making your presentation, limit your text on your slides, period. Text on slides should complement your presentation. They should not attempt to replace or duplicate it. People cannot read and listen at the same time. And those with cognitive and learning disorders will find it especially difficult to listen to you and read your slides simultaneously. Images. Do not just use images just to use them. There's no reason why I needed a picture of a random banana with the word random in a search bar on this slide. Instead of giving PowerPoint slides as a form of information, produce a handout with additional and more complete information than what is covered in your presentation. I want you to think of your slides as being so much of an aid that you don't want people, and people don't want to ask for your slides. They should just want a recording, which I'm going to get to. And I added this slide as a test to see, are you guys just listening to what I'm saying, or are you also reading? So remember that when you're adding text to your slides, do you want people to understand more of what you're saying or what they're reading? So let's open up that box and think about what's easiest for our end user. What do you prefer, slides with or without speaker notes? Now, if you are raising your hand saying that you want speaker notes, think, would you be willing to share yours? Would you rather have slides or a recording of the presentation? And just for fun, would you rather have beef or chicken tacos? I think it is pretty clear that when it comes to getting the most valuable information, we would rather have the recording. I can tell you that when I was making this presentation, I realized that it would have been pointless for me to sit here and go step by step on how to make a document accessible because I didn't know if it was going to be recorded. And I also know that there are hundreds of videos out there already that will show you just how to do that. Now, don't worry, I will give you plenty of resources and video presentations where slides are not available, but the content is great. So let's say you've decided that you're going to record your presentation. A few things to consider. Trim the recording to just be the recording. Think about where you would want to share your recordings. I do recommend YouTube because it is free, and there are 3 types of videos that you can have on your channel. Public, meaning anybody can search and find your video. Private, meaning only those that have the invite via email can access your video. And unlisted, meaning that the videos can only be shared via a link. Automatic closed captioning is also needed for your videos. This can help to bridge the communication gaps and ensure that multimedia content, your video, is inclusive and accessible to all. However, it is not perfect and it does have its limitations. YouTube is a popular video streaming service that uses automatic captions to help make the content more accessible. Automatic captioning technology employs sophisticated AI algorithms to transcribe spoken language into text rapidly. Now, with that, a study done by the University of Minnesota found that only 60 to 70% of YouTube's automatic captions were accurate, meaning that 1 in 3 words that were automatically captioned could be incorrect. These inaccuracies significantly impact users with audio impairments who depend on captions for comprehension. So to ensure accuracy, have high quality audio free of grammatical errors, mispronunciations, and background noise. Incorporate human checkers, regular testing, and user feedback for continuous improvement. My process is to upload a video to YouTube, allow AI technology to caption, copy the captions into a Word document, and listen to the video while reading through the captions and fixing the text to match the speaker's sentence flow and any other mistakes that I can see. Of course, there are pros and cons to video presentations. The pros are that you can avoid checking your PowerPoint slides for 508 compliance when transferred to PDF. You will also get more engagement and credit for the work that you've done. Nobody can come and take your slides and play them off as their own. Others will also not have to reinvent your slides, as originally they were uploaded in PDF format, and if they wanted to recreate your PowerPoint, they would have to go back and manually do all of the same labor that you've done, where they're more likely to just share your video, again, increasing the engagement for you. You don't have as much back and forth either with the team and I once your grant period is done. This is because you'll be able to link directly to your video. Cons. Your slides may not be accessible or meet those accessibility standards. Therefore, I do highly recommend checking your slides prior to presenting and recording. You would either need to record the presentation before you give it and play the recording that day, or due to the environment, you may need to give the presentation more than once. Because of this, too, you may miss on adding information that people are asking for. You can always add that into future presentations, whether you record or not. Other boxed up items include flyers, handouts, menus and recipes, assessments, and surveys. So think to yourself, do we need all of your flyers, handouts, and sample menus and recipes that you've created during your grant period, or just showing one or sharing one suffice? Is the assessment or survey usable or transferable to other organizations? Do you have the assessment or survey available on a website? How did you give the assessment or survey? Was it paper and pen? When it comes to adding materials to your capstone project, ask 2 questions. 1, if you would have had time to review the material when getting started. And 2, if the material would have been helpful to have prior to starting the project. Speed round. These are some free trainings that are very helpful when getting started with accessibility in PDFs. I strongly recommend at least watching Module 2 and Module 3, as these videos are both less than 20 minutes each, yet have a ton of great information. Images and alt text. Again, what is making the difference between that example on the right with the big X, think back to the beginning of my presentation that Erin made, and the difference between it, what got finalized and added to our website on the left? It's those decorative and meaningful images. So how do you determine if you need to add alternative text to an image, graph, figure, etc.? Well, ask yourself, is the purpose meant to be decorative or meaningful? If it's decorative, then you don't need to add alt text. In Word, you'll mark it as decorative, and in PDF, you'll mark it as an artifact. If it is meaningful, then you will need to add alt text to explain what that graph, image, etc. is showing. So think to yourself briefly, what would your alt text be for these photos? Last thing that we're going to talk about today is tables. It is best to use tables when needing to present related information in rows and in columns. What makes a table accessible are these 4 things. Include a header row, use a simple table structure, and have no empty cells or merged cells, add alternative text if needed, and do not use screenshots of the table. Now is when I took time to work through a Word document. However, I'm not going to do that today. As I mentioned, there are many other training videos out there on how to do that. I've also linked on one of the last slides of this presentation all of the websites and resources that I used to work on this presentation and or that I recommend that you take a look at for additional training and information. Should we meet again? Do you have further questions? If so, reach out to the Resource Center and you'll get a hold of me. Please take time over the next few weeks to take a deeper dive and look at these resources. I strongly recommend it. The links are also going to be in the description of this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.